Good afternoon. My name is Gillian Balaban and I am Senior Coordinator Governance Relations at GRI. Welcome to this meeting of the Global Sustainability Standards Board, known by its acronym the GSSB, held on 15 December 2022. This virtual meeting is being hosted from Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Please note that all public GSSB meetings are being recorded and you can find the audio recording on the GSSB webpage along with high-level summaries of previous GSSB meetings. Present from the GRI Secretariat today are Bastian Buck, Chief of Standards, Izzy Ensor, Manager Standards, and Margherita Barbieri, Manager Standards. We will now start with a roll call. Anna Nefedova.
Present.
Thank you. Corley LaRue.
Present. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Evan Harvey.
Present. Good morning.
Gangacharan Sharma.
Yeah, present.
Thank you. Julia Genuardi. Julia is on the line, but just a little difficult to connect. Jennifer Prinsing.
Present. Hello.
Hello. Joseph Martin.
Present.
Kent Swift.
Present.
Kim Schumacher.
Present.
Laura Dana Carter.
Present.
Peter Colley.
Present.
Vincent Kong.
Present.
And the Chair, Judy Kosevsky.
Present.
Thank you all. GSSB member Michelle Vasher will join shortly, and GSSB member Robin Leeson sent her apologies. I will now hand over to the Chair, Judy Kosevsky, to open the meeting.
Thank you very much, Jill. Welcome, colleagues. Thank you all once again for your time and your assistance with our agenda today. Welcome anyone who may be joining us over the YouTube channel. A quick look at our agenda today. We have got a couple of approvals to be done right at the beginning. These are the draft summaries of our most recent GSSB meetings. So that's the first item, followed by an update from Bastian from the Standards Division. And then we will be reviewing the draft project proposal for the review of the climate-related standards, followed by an update on the revision of the labor-related standards. I'm not aware of any additional matters that members would like to raise or anyone else would like to raise in the public meeting, but we'll do a quick check at the end, and then we do have a short private session at the end for information. Are there any questions about the agenda? I note that Michelle Vasher has joined us, which is great. Thank you very much for that. We do, I'm told, have full quorum at the moment, so we can proceed with the approvals and the rest of the agenda as planned. Okay, so the first one is item 1, the draft summary of the GSSB meeting. This was the multi-day, this was the in-person meeting that we had in October. Are there any edits, concerns, additions, questions about the item 1? Okay, hearing none, we'll take that as approved. And so the next one, item 2, will be the draft summary of our meeting held on the 17th of November. Again, any objections or concerns or questions? Hearing none, also approved. Thank you very much to everyone, which means that we can move swiftly along to Bastian to the update from the Standards Division.
Yes, thank you, Judy, and hello, everyone. I will keep it very brief today. We are on a regular frequency with our meetings at the moment, and while the team is continues to do incredible things in terms of moving the agenda, we didn't have very many big announcements in the last months in terms of public-facing activities. Having said that, we are at the moment represented in Canada at the Biodiversity Summit, where we're leveraging this opportunity to look at profiling our biodiversity standard. There are 2 global webinars today. One has happened earlier today, and there will be another one late covering the Americas. So we're moving this agenda quite swiftly. Also in the public domain and profiled through all the GRI channels is the public consultation on the GSB work program that we've been discussing throughout October and November, as well as a call for nominations for the GSSB. I think I'm only flagging these things. Of course, there's not much has come in on these individual items yet with the public consultations, and for the nominations, that is something that is with the Independent Appointments Committee. But as you all go towards closing the chapter for this year, if you have individuals in your network that need to know about any of the 3 public-facing activities, so biodiversity, public consultation, groups that we should be in, individuals that we should be in touch with, the GSB work program, organizations that we should encourage to submit their opinion, or that you can encourage to submit an opinion. And lastly, also looking at new membership for the GSB. If you have recommendations for the IAC and where you can make contact, please do so. The team will go on a well-deserved holiday very soon. For the first time in my 17 years with GRI, we will actually have the full team going on holiday, because GRI is really enforcing this more, which is great. Most of them for 2 weeks, and then we will be back in the office with all the project work for most of us in the 2nd week of January. If there's anything that you would like us to close out still this coming week, please be in touch, and we will do that. But I think this is all I wanted to share for today in terms of updates on projects. Maybe a last thing to say, that we continue to add colleagues to the team, and there will be also more positions announced before Christmas still, and then you will see a whole host of additional postings coming in January. We're looking at an additional between 10 and 15 positions for the standards division within the next 2 quarters that will go live, and then hopefully new colleagues joining over the first 3 quarters of the next year. I'll leave it at that. Happy to answer questions you might have about things that you've seen in the public domain lately in terms of announcements by the team or GRI.
Okay, thank you, Bastian. Any discussion from members? Questions for Bastian? It's very exciting seeing the growth of the standards division team, and it's just going so quickly these days. A real change just in the last 12 months. Okay. Right. Well, it doesn't look like there are any questions for you, Bastian. Why don't we move ahead to Margarita?
Thank you, Judy. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. We have completed the draft project proposal for the review of the climate-related standards, and we refer to it as a review as there are a few existing standards involved. The need for this project was identified as a priority by the GSSB work program for 2020-2022. And this proposal today will be presented for discussion and approval. And we started preparing this draft project proposal on existing climate standard and new issues, as you will see in a minute. And the proposal is based on a lot of research, analysis of authoritative resources, and discussion with stakeholders and key players. Next slide, please. I don't see the presentation moving, maybe it's me. Okay, thank you so much. The primary objective for this project is to review and revise the content of GRI 302 energy, GRI 305 emissions, disclosure 125, and GRI 201 economic performance, disclosure number 2, using a multi-stakeholder approach. Since the GRI standards and disclosures on climate-related issues were last revised in 2013, the objective is to represent internationally agreed best practice and to align with recent developments and relevant authoritative instruments in the field of climate change, including the Paris Agreement and the IPCC last reports, and also reports from the International Energy Agency. The standard division proposed excluding from the scope of this project the GRI 305 disclosures 6 and 7, and to address those in the future revision of pollution-related topics disclosures, while the review of the GRI 201 economic performance remaining disclosures, so the number 1, 3, and 4, will be addressed in the economic-related standard project that is expected to commence in 2023. Next slide, please. The project will not be limited to reviewing the current contents of existing GRI climate standards. We will also look into emerging topics, and we will incorporate new issues to reflect stakeholders' expectations related to climate change that have evolved and broaden beyond energy and emissions. The sector standards programs have also expressed views and inputs to the topic standards team that will be definitely considered in the climate project. In particular, the oil and gas and coal sector standards as advocate for enhanced reporting related to climate change, in particular on topics such as climate resilience, adaptation, and transition. And they also specify that stakeholder expectations have broadened, and stakeholders expect to see reporting on aspects such as the setting emission targets, the board responsibility for climate change, investment in emissions intensive activities, climate change related lobbying, and also consideration of just transition. So we will further research on these topics, and we will approach these issues from an impact materiality perspective, which is GRI core focus. Next slide, please. This project proposal is based on background research. In the previous month, the research team supported us in developing this draft project proposal, researching on impacts related to climate change, on key topics and emerging impact areas, and mapping existing GRI climate-related standards against other climate frameworks, other standards, and regulatory initiatives. Next slide, please. This project proposal is also based on discussions with stakeholders on inputs on key topics, stakeholder engagement, and expectations collected on the ground also at COP27 in Egypt last month, which I attended with my colleague Nora Puro from the sector program. Next slide, please. The review of the GRI climate standards will also align with other climate-related reporting standards and jurisdictional regulatory initiatives underway. This includes the proposed standards by the International Sustainability Standard Boards of the IFRS Foundation and the European Sustainability Reporting Standards. Next slide, please. The standard division proposed a technical committee for this project. Experts will be nominated to contribute to this project with their expertise, and the technical committee will be formed in accordance to the due process protocol to provide technical advice for the development of the revised climate standards. We have already identified some of the experts. We know the key players and the landscape. We already have some conversations with different stakeholders. We met with some of them at COP27, and we will ensure, of course, representation among the constituencies. We then will bring the nominations of the technical committee to the GSSB for approval. Next slide, please. So the timeline you see proposed in the draft project proposal, it's about 25 months, but we will try to speed up some phases of the project according to resources and staff availability where possible. And also maybe it's important to know that COP28 will be held in December 2023, and that could be a potential good opportunity to further exchange views with stakeholders on the ongoing project. Next slide, please. So this is the conclusion of the presentation. I would like to add that I'm looking for a sponsor in the GSSB for this project. So if any of you is interested and have time availability to become a sponsor, you can let me know after the meeting as well. And maybe I'd like to open the floor if there are comments or questions to the project.
Thank you very much. Indeed, yes. Thank you very much, Margarita. That's very helpful. So let me do that now. Ask the GSSB if anyone has anything they'd like to discuss about this project proposal.
May I ask a quick question? This is
Yes.
Anna speaking.
Please go ahead, Anna.
Margarita, did I understand it correctly that the financial implications of climate change on a company itself would not be a part of this climate related work stream and would be postponed till the economic topic is being looked at? Is that correct?
So thank you for the question, Anna. So in the scope, there is actually included the economic performance standard 201 disclosure number 2. So the financial implication and other risks and opportunities due to climate change are at the moment actually in the scope of this revision, while the remaining disclosure of the 201 standards will be addressed in the project of the economic standard review next year.
Got it. I think it's a great approach. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
That's great. Michel has his hand up.
Very fast, just to say that I'm fully in support of the initiative. Material issue by itself, and having climate items spread between different GRI about this. Margarita, I'm going to put my name forward as a sponsor if no one else does it. I represent a chemical company with 38 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions total in scope 1, 2, and 3, and so I know the topic quite well.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you very much indeed.
Judy, just a quick comment from
Any other questions or comments, points of clarification, or for that matter, volunteers to speak?
Judy, this is
Recording in progress.
In respect of things like sponsorship of projects like that, we don't necessarily need to do it in the public meeting. But are there any other questions about this before we take it to the approval? We have now lost the slide deck in the Zoom window. I'm sure it will be reshared at some point.
Judy, can you hear us?
We can hear you fine. Just
okay.
we're not seeing the presentation.
There is a technical glitch. Something is not working. Just give us 2 seconds. Just while we're trying to bring this back on. On the disclosures that deal with financial implications of climate change for the reporting organization, that will be something we will look at with priority, also from an angle of complementarity and alignment. Inherent in this discussion is the question whether or not the GRI standards are going to be the home for this type of disclosure going forward, and in light of the evolving corporate reporting architecture and the emphasis that in particular the colleagues at the GSSB have laid on this particular matter. But we haven't taken a decision there, right? That's why it is part of the scope of this project, and expect that we will front load that discussion also with you in more detail over the first half of the next year to resolve how we relate to other standards, and whether that then necessitates replicating these contents in the GI standards or not. So we should be back on. You should be seeing the presentation again, I hope.
Yeah, we do, or I do anyway.
We're moving back to the right slide for the approval now.
Correct. That's what we need to do, is to make sure that we do the approval as scheduled. Are there any other questions or comments that anyone would like to raise before we move to the approval of the project proposal? Okay, right. Well, then let me just call the question around exactly that, the approval of the draft project proposal for the GRI Topic Standard Project for Climate. Are there any concerns about forwarding this project proposal into the public domain and kicking off that project? Any questions, concerns? Hearing none, that is approved. Thank you very much. Can you just remind us now, either Margarita or Bastian or someone, what happens next with this?
Sure. So the next step will be also sharing the draft project proposal to the GRI board and stakeholder council for further comments, and then circulate back the final project proposal to the GSSB in the next meetings.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you to GSSB for that. And I think we can then move to the next agenda item, which is the labor revision, I think. Indeed. Izzy, are you with us?
I am. I'm in the office and everything looks good to go technical wise. Great.
You're good.
So just an update on the labour related standards, and I would like to put forward the advisory group. So just please go to the next slide. So the role of the advisory group is to support and provide input to the TC. We wanted to select a broad range of constituencies as for this purpose, and to provide greater insight on the standards that we have. So we did an open call for applications, which was for the 17th of September to the 17th of October. We had a very high number of applications, but unfortunately there weren't evenly split between regions, constituencies and stakeholders. So that's something that we found. About 50 of the applications we had a second review for, and we invited 13 for interviews. We interviewed 12 of them, and we've put forward 10 advisory group members. Next slide, please. So what we were looking for in this group was substantial knowledge to the human rights within the labour-related context, knowledge and ability to prepare reports and the users of the reports, who they were and their needs, knowledge of the key authoritative instruments, and ability to work in a multi-stakeholder working group in a consensus space, and to have the facilitation to enable us to develop the standard. Next slide. So I would like to put forward the 10 that's in the proposal. They are from a diverse background. They also all work on either regional or a global basis, dealing with many contexts. We have an equal divide of the gender and as well. But unfortunately, we were unable to get sort of global representation and representatives from the Latin America, Caribbean region, and also Africa. And we are on an effort. We are seeking out these individuals. We're trying to find who they are, because this is what the advisory group is lacking now, despite the open call. And once we have these profiles, we'll be able to submit them in due course to yourselves, the GSSB. Is there any, I have the next slide, but is there any other questions regarding the process?
Any questions from the GSSB? No, I'm not seeing any.
Okay.
Izzy?
Okay, well, I'm always here if any further questions. So yeah, to just go into the next slide, regarding the approval of the listed candidates put forward.
Thank you. So this goes now again to the GSSB for their approval. The proposed expert members for the advisory group. Are there any questions or anything that anyone would like to discuss about this proposal? And if not, then we will take that as acceptance by the GSSB. Thank you very much. I hear no objections to that, so that is approved. Thank you. Everything okay? Right, you guys are on mute.
Can you hear us now, Judy?
Yes.
It's the end of the month and technology is very tired. For the last slide we have for today, we would like to confirm that the dates shown here are confirmed. I will send out next week invitations to you all, and some more information about the in-person meeting for March will come at the beginning of January.
Very good, thank you for that. And I presume, Jill, that you will be sending calendar invitations in due course for all of these as well.
Yes, I will send them tomorrow or the beginning of next week, so they will all be in your calendars.
Great. Okay, thank you very much for that. Which brings us very efficiently to the close of the public meeting. Is there anything that anyone would like to raise in the public meeting while we still can? Just a short meeting so far today, which is great. I don't see any hands and I don't see any comments in the chat window either. So I think with that, we can say thank you to our colleagues in the Standards Division and also to the GSSB members for today's meeting. Wishing you all the very best at the end of the year, the festive season, the new year to come, and looking forward to continuing to work with you in 2023. We'll close the public meeting now, and the GSSB will stay